The next topic is sustainability of development. So here when we talk about sustainability, the term sustainability refers to preserving something. So here we are talking about sustainability of the development. Means whatever development process is going on in the country, we need to continue with that same development process. We need to prolong the development process. So that is what is sustainability of development. Now if we see the definition given by Brundtland Commission 1987, so you need to remember this. The definition of sustainable development was given by Brundtland Commission 1987. So according to this Brundtland Commission, sustainable development is the kind of development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. What is it? It is the kind of development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So here with this regard, I would like to say a small story. Now a old person was planting a mango tree in his field, and a young boy was passing by the field. Now here this young boy noticed that old person, and he wanted to go and ask that old person something. So he goes to the old person and he asks, "Yes, old man, you are so old, and why, or what is the requirement of you to plant this the plant in your old age? By the time this plant grow into a big tree, you might be or you might not be there. So the fruits of the tree would not be consumed by you. Then what is the requirement for doing so?" Now this old man gave a very good reply to this young person. He says that if someone, or if no one has, or if someone did not plant a tree in the past, would I get the fruits which I am having at present? So that is what is the answer which is given by the old person. Now according to the answer, we can clearly make out what is the idea behind this. So old man says that I am planting this plant at present so that in future the future generation can get the fruit of it. Means what? The old person is thinking about the future generation at present itself. He wants the fruit to be there in the future. He wants that plant to bear fruit in the future. That is what his idea is behind this planting of the mango tree in his field. So here according to this story, we can clearly make it out that sustainable development is nothing but making or satisfying the present needs, and at the same time seeing that the future generation is not deprived of the resources. They are not deprived of the resources. Resources should be preserved for their usage also, and at the same time we need to see that the development which is happening at present is not harming the environment. There should be no harm caused to the environment because of the present development. That is what is sustainable development. Now here, in order to understand this sustainable development, we will just see a small phase of this. So if we talk about economic growth, we all know economic growth is increase in the level of production. So if increase in the level of production takes place, this increase in the level of production or economic growth would lead to economic development, in the form of prosperity, right? Now this economic development would help people or humans to have social benefits. Now, for example, if we talk about economic development in the form of free education, in the form of free health care, in the form of good information provided to them, in the form of the income which they receive, the per capita income, the gross domestic product of the country, the national income of the country. So all these are development and the social benefits which the people are receiving because of this development and economic development, right? Now the social benefits which the people are receiving, because of the social benefits which the people are receiving, what will happen? Now the social benefits received by humans means what? There will be human development. Now this human development would lead to ecological degradation, Now we would like to see a small example based on that. For example, if we talk about green revolution, so already in our 9th standard we have seen about green revolution. This green revolution increases the production. Now this increase in production, let us term it as economic growth. So economic growth, green revolution. Now this green revolution leads to economic development. Now economic growth leads to economic development. Now what kind of economic development would be there? There would be agriculture prosperity. Then we talk about strengthening of the link between agriculture and industry. Then we also talk about food production. So these are all what? These are all the economic developments because of this economic growth of green revolution. Now because of this economic development, there will be certain social developments also. Now social developments in the form of food security, longevity. We talk about high standard of living. People's standard of living would be improved. So these are all what? These are all social benefits which the society or the people would be receiving as a result of what? As a result of this economic growth of in green, or according to or in the concept of green revolution. So this is what is the social benefits we talked about. Now for example, if we go to a shop and we want to buy anything, would the shopkeeper simply give us the thing which we want to buy without taking anything for it? Yes? No. So we'll have to make payment, we'll have to pay the cost or price, we'll have to pay the price for the good which we want to purchase. Now if we want to pay the price of the good, here when we talk about the social development is the benefits. Now in order to achieve these benefits, in order to get these benefits, there are certain costs which has to be paid. There are certain cost which has to be paid in the form of environmental cost and social cost. Now what is environmental cost? So environmental cost is the degradation of the environment which is taking place. For example, we talk about air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution, marine pollution. These are all the things which are happening because of this economic growth in the form of green revolution. Now the next one is social cost. If we talk about social cost, we see there is increased concentration of the pesticides and DDT in food. We see different health hazards. The health of the people is deteriorating day by day. They are losing the immunity system. They are losing their immune power, resistance power towards different diseases. So all these are the side effects or ill effects of the economic growth. Yes, economic growth takes place, but that economic growth will take place instead of foregoing something. So here we are losing economic or ecological balance in between the benefits and what we are receiving, what we are losing out of it. So here the social development would be of any value only if it is more than the environmental cost plus the social cost. Okay, as long as the social development or social benefits is more than environmental cost and social cost, there is no problem in the economy, there is no problem in the environment, there is no problem with the development. But as soon as this social benefit becomes less than this environmental and social cost, there arises the problem. And this problem cannot be reduced immediately. The nature itself will force the people to reduce this problem, to reduce the economic growth of the nation. In order to reduce the costs, environmental and social cost, the nature will force the human beings to do certain things or to reduce the economic growth, so that it can once again replenish its resources slowly. We all know that, for example, if we talk about pre-industrial period, we know that pre-industrial period, there was no, the technology was not the sophisticated ones which we are using at present. The technology did not develop as it is now, and at the same time people used to use or have different traditional methods to produce different products. So the pace with which the natural resources were used by the people was very slow. So this gave time to the nature to replenish its resources once again. And at the same time, whatever was the ill effects or whatever was the byproducts of this development process was absorbed by nature. Now, after the industrial revolution took place, after industries has grown at present as we have now. So after this industrial revolution, what do we see? We see that the exploitation of the natural resources is taking place at a very, very, very fast rate. The exploitation of the natural resource is taking place at a very fast rate. So this exploitation of natural resources is the pace of it is such that it is not allowing the nature to replenish its resources once again. It is not giving the time to the nature to replenish its resources once again. So as a result, what will happen? The nature, at the same time, the nature cannot, the byproducts of this development is so much that the nature cannot absorb it. The byproducts of this so-called industrial development and the present development which we are having is so much that the nature cannot absorb it. So as a result, what will happen? As a result, the nature would by force make people to reduce the usage of the resources. The nature by force would make the people to reduce the economic growth. For what? For the survival of the people. If I am not reducing the economic growth, I will be having the problem of depletion of ozone layer. We have global warming. So all these are what? All these are the ill effects of what? Ill effects of the byproducts of development. So this will force the people to reduce the economic growth. The production process has to be reduced. In that case, nothing can be done. So here, what will happen? Which will in turn see to the wrath of the mankind. So in order to survive, the human being once again by force will reduce their production process, the economic growth. So now this sustainable development is having different phases. We'll see it once. The sustainable development phase, if we talk about, we are having the economy in it, the society, and we talk about the environment. So all these three are interrelated to each other. All these three are interrelated to each other. Now, for example, if we talk about, if we say that there is economic crisis, if we say that there is economic crisis taking place in a country. Now, economic crisis means what? The growth is, the production is not taking place by much, and people are having problems of unemployment. They are having problem of poverty. So these are all different problems. Now, this economic problem turning into societal discrimination or societal society crisis, as we can say that division of the rich and the poor. Division of the rich and the poor. Economic crisis leading to division of rich and poor. So more number of, if there is crisis, people are in such a pathetic condition that they will not be having money with them. So division of rich and poor takes place. Disparity, social disparity will take place. So now this social disparity, for example, if we talk about poor persons here, poor persons will not bother about ecology or environment. What they want to satisfy their needs. They want to satisfy their needs. So in order to satisfy their need, they would irrationally make use of the resources from the environment. As a result, environmental degradation will take place. Environmental degradation will take place. When environmental degradation takes place, or the resources available, if it is exhausted, what will happen? Once again, economy will suffer of it. Economy will suffer of it, because there is no natural resource to continue the production process. So as a result, the economy will suffer. So all these three which we talked about here, the economy, the society and the environment, are interlinked. If there is any problem in one of these phases, there will be problem for all. So there should always be a good balance maintained between or among these three phases of the development process. Now the next one is, why do we require sustainable development? Why do we require sustainable development? So before moving into this, we need to see one more point there. When we talked about economic growth is, if economic growth takes place, what will happen? The ecology or the environment degradation will take place, because based on the resources from the nature only, we are having economic growth. If economic growth increases, the rate of economic growth increases, the rate of environmental degradation will also take place at a very high rate. The environmental degradation will take place. So the more the growth takes place, the more is the degradation of environment taking place. So what we say is, environmental growth and the ecology is inversely related to each other. The economic growth, if it increases, the environmental degradation will take place, ecological degradation will take place. So that is what is the relation there. So now we come to this need for sustainable development. So what is the need for the sustainable development? Very very important point is that the resources which we have in the nature is limited. The resources given to us by the nature is limited. So these limited resources is or are having unlimited wants. Limited resources can be used to satisfy or is to be used to satisfy unlimited wants. We know that the resources in nature is limited and the human wants are unlimited in nature. So with these limited resources, the human wants can never be satisfied. So here the need for sustainable development is very much there, and in order to sustainability we already have seen it is preserving. It is preserving the resources for the future. Since it is scarce in nature, there is a requirement of preservation. If it is abundant in nature, there will be no requirement of preserving it for the future generation. So here the important point is, since the resources are scarce in nature, there is a requirement of preserving the resources. There is a requirement of sustaining the resources for the future generation. Now we come to the concluding part of the sustainable development, that is different strategies which would help us to have sustainable development, or which would help us to preserve the resources. Under this we see use of non-conventional source of energy in the form of solar energy. We talk about wind energy, tidal energy. So these are all non-conventional source of energy. So if we use more of this non-conventional source and less of the fuels in the form of petroleum products or the coal, in that case what will happen? The environmental pollution will reduce. The environmental pollution would reduce. Reducing the pollution would help us to preserve the resources at the same time, and the petroleum products or the coal which we are talking about are very much limited in nature. If we use it at present, it will not be there for the future generation. It will exhaust. The next one we talk about proper allocation. So proper allocation of resources and efficient use of the resources. Now the resources we said are scarce in nature, are limited in nature. So these limited resources are to be allocated or distributed properly for satisfying different wants. Different for important wants. Different important wants of the public, the wants which satisfies the majority of the population of the country. So those wants has to be satisfied first, and then the least important or less important wants. So allocation of the resources should be there, and efficient use of those allocated resources should also be there. There should not be any wastage of the allocated resources. The next one we talk about encouraging the use of cleaner fuel or clean fuel. Here encouraging the use of cleaner fuel in the form of LPG. We talk about a CNG. So these are all clean fuel where we will not have much of air pollution. So air pollution is reduced. Next we talk about traditional knowledge and practices. Traditional knowledge and practices. Traditional knowledge, traditional methods of either farming. If we talk about, we have seen that green revolution, we are using HYV seeds. So this use of this HYV seeds and the fertilizers, the pesticides has reduced the fertility of the soil, has contaminated the soil, and at the same time the crop or the food which we are receiving out of this HYV seeds is also containing certain percentage of pesticides in it. So these are all leading to, once again, health damages. So all these has to be reduced, and at the same time recycling the waste into manure. So whatever domestic waste we have, we should recycle it, or we should use it as manure. If we are having different plants at home, for example, if we are having flower plants, you can observe that your parents or your mother especially would be using the peel of the onion, the peel of the potato, and for as manure to the soil. So all these are natural usage. Instead of using the chemicals, we should move to, for example, organic farming. We should move to the traditional practices which we used to have. So these traditional practices would help us to preserve the resources, and at the same time to preserve, to protect ourselves from the adverse effects which the environment can bring on us if we do not check our economic growth. So I hope you have understood all the three topics which we have discussed, and whatever clarification is required on these topics, once the school reopens, you would be getting it clarified. So please go through your text. Whatever homework is given through school app, please do it properly, and whatever the next lesson will be starting in our next video. Thank you.